Hello there and welcome to another great week of the weekly career question. If you're new here, my name is Emmy Peterson and I have been working as a career transition coach, helping people just like you transition in their career since 2013. And in that time, I've had many questions of many different types about careers, and obviously some of them are very personal to different people. But the question I'm covering today is probably one of the most common questions I've had over the years, which is, I've got a job interview coming up. How do I best prepare? Now, we don't always get a great deal of notice. Obviously, if you are in the market applying for jobs, you're probably a little bit more prepared that an interview could come up reasonably quickly. But in reality, we can get a call kind of the same day or a couple of days before. And for most people, they get really nervous because often if you've applied for a job, it's hopefully a job that you really want, whether it's that you really need some money coming in and or it's a job that is kind of your dream job and you really want to put your best foot forward. And there is an art to preparing for job interviews, but it might not be exactly the method that you've seen before or that you see when you Google this. And I have followed this method myself, pretty much every job I've ever applied for, because I've had many different roles in my life outside of this coaching role that I do here. But it is really important to allow yourself to prepare. And I will say, as a general rule of thumb, you should spend 1 to 2 hours preparing for a job interview at a minimum. If you're not willing to spend the time to actually come prepared, it's going to show in the meeting itself, whether you do it on video, which is super common now due to the pandemic, or if you meet up with the people in person. Now, I will also say the tips that I will share today are pretty general in nature. So obviously, if you're going for a very technical role or a very specialized role, there might be other elements. You might need to do some work samples, some research and other things outside of what I'll share with you today. But the tips I'm going to share are really, really helpful, and they've helped both me and many of my clients over the years. So there are 3 key areas, and believe it or not, preparing for the questions themselves actually comes last. But you can go through this entire process in about 1 to 2 hours. So it doesn't take very long at all, and it will, I guarantee you, put you in a better position in that interview. So the very first thing to consider before you start looking at the company's website or anything like that is to check in with yourself. And I don't mean like, are you feeling nervous about this particular interview? I mean, how's your self-confidence at the moment? Have you been off the job market for a little while? Have you had a few rejections professionally lately? Are you feeling that your confidence or your self-esteem is a little bit low? And is there a particular other thing going on in your life? You know, do you have personal things going on? Is someone in your family unwell? So look at this as a bit of a well-rounded, quick check-in. How are things tracking for you right now? Because, believe it or not, what's going on in your life is going to come through in some shape or form in your interview. And allowing yourself to be very clear and honest and transparent with yourself. You don't need to tell anyone at the interview how you're feeling or what else is going on in your life. But having it front and center rather than trying to suppress it is going to mean that you can focus more on the next 2 steps and show up even better at the interview. So allow a really quick check-in on, how are you going? And then start with the next step, which is do proper research on the role and on the company. And this is the one that I think a lot of people do, but sometimes it's a bit half-hearted. So when I say proper research, I mean, look into the company, have they been mentioned in the media lately? What does their About Us page say? What are the company values? What do they stand for? Not just what they do or what do they produce or what services they sell, but what are they about? Because your values are really important and that there is some level of alignment, especially if you want to have a role that you enjoy. You will enjoy it more if the company's values aligns a little bit with your values. For example, if the environment and sustainability is important to you, look for clues in the values, the mission, what they're involved in on social media. They might have some kind of a charity presence, etc. And it'll start to tell you a lot about the company. You can also look for consistency or inconsistency in how they talk about themselves on social media, on their website, in articles, etc. And look them up in the press. Have they been mentioned in the news lately? And if so, was that good or bad? Or rather, is that something that you would be proud to stand for or not? And obviously get really clear on the role. If you've applied for a lot of jobs, it's tricky because for a lot of people, when you've applied for a bunch of roles and you get a call about an interview and you're like, dang it, I can't remember which specific role this was because I applied for so many. And job applications is a numbers game to some extent. So don't feel weird if that's happened to you. But one key thing is obviously get crystal clear on the role, the job description, the job ad. If they've already taken the job ad down, maybe ask them to send you a copy of the position description if they haven't already. Normally HR tend to do that anyway. They send that through to you as part of your preparation. But get really clear on the role, because if you're not really clear on the role, then you can't prepare for the next step, which is the format and the specific questions. So once you're clear on step one, which is how you're feeling and how you're tracking and what's going on for you, and you've done proper research on what exactly is this role and this company. And even if it's not your dream role, even if this is a role that you envisage yourself being in for a year or two and then transitioning or advancing in your career, you still need to be really clear on the role, because the next part here is the format of the interview. So are you going to see them face to face? How many of them will be interviewing with you? If it's online, do you have a good space to be able to do that in with a neutral background where you won't be disturbed? And obviously still, by the way, even if it's a video interview, dress appropriately for the role you're going for. If you're going for a fun entertainment company, obviously wear something that represents that. But for most of us, smart casual or smart professional is really what you want to go for. And it's always better to overdress a little bit. Because also, I'm not sure if you knew this, how you dress actually impacts how you speak and how you show up. So if you are dressing up as if you were seeing them in person, even if it's happening on video or phone, that will come through in your voice, believe it or not. And obviously the specific questions, which tend to fall in a couple of different buckets. There is a wealth of knowledge about this specific question preparation online. So with a quick Google, you can get, the 20 most common interview questions, etc., and start thinking about those. But I also wanted to mention that I have actually done a specific online preparation program because I got so many questions about this. So if you are interested, or if you have a job interview coming up, if you head over to either thebridgecoaching.com.au, which is my business website, you will be able to find the job interview preparation program. Or if you follow the link here on the screen, that will take you to where my online program hub, where you can see this and the other online programs I sell. And this program is designed to help you prepare for your job interview. Like I said, in 1 to 2 hours, it gives you a lot of tools and templates and specific questions, etc. So essentially, it's a much more comprehensive version than what I covered here in the video today. So I will link this program below if you are interested in taking it up. It's $49 and you get lifetime access. And it also has a couple of goodies like how do you get feedback and wrap up after the interview itself. So thank you so much for joining me on this week's career question. As always, feel free to send your questions in to hello@thebridgecoaching.com.au. I'd love to answer your question, either just in email correspondence, depending what it is, or it might even become a future question here on the weekly career question. I hope you have a fabulous week, and I look forward to see you in the next video.